Poisonous snakes are what I feel like when I'm just about to perform. People always think like, oh, you're perfect, you never get scared. Oh, you must have done it. Look, I see you on stage doing it so confidently. Oh, I bet you never scared. Do not believe that. Do you know what? I'll probably say every event. I say every event before I get on stage. I am scared. I am nervous. I am terrified. I am ready to just leave and just, mommy, drive off. I don't want to do this no more. I have those scenarios every time I have a show. It's just the moment I get on stage and the moment I say that first word, it's just like, I'm fine. Mainstream hip hop, it's kind of completely just focused on like curse words, girls, money. That's all you hear nowadays. That's why I'm like, wait, what if these people just think I'm another, what if they think I'm just another one of those dudes?
When I was pregnant, my husband used to play music to him, position kind of this little boombox next to my stomach. So Priest has been exposed to music from before birth.
Priest was crawling, and his father and I were just sitting down on a Saturday, I believe. So Priest, he looked at us with his little smile on his face, looked at the keyboard, and what he did, instead of pressing keys or what have you, he pressed a module button, which basically is indicative of different sounds. So he pressed the module, and then he hit a key. Instead of banging on it, he pressed another module, and he pressed a different key. And that's when we knew that he had an ear for music.
My wife and I, we were very intentional about screening the music, but we wanted to make sure he heard solid talent, and the music he heard was uplifting.
My dad, he's been getting me in the roots. We talking from Busta Rhymes, to Tupac, to Nas, to Biggie, to Biz Markie, to my dad has me indebted in the roots.
People need to understand that before there was a mainstream rap element to it, there was a subcultural movement that was designed to empower and uplift people in their urban communities. When I tell them that, you know, my son and I are hip hop artists, my wife's a hip hop artist, they're just like, oh, okay. They just can't see why I would allow my son to be a part of the subculture.
Everybody's like, yeah, hip hop, hippie to the hippity hop, don't stop, because that's we just having fun. But now we're talking about bullets, we're talking about guns, we're talking about taking advantage of women, we're talking about destroying a community, we're talking about burn it down, we're talking about, you know, kill the police, we're talking about all kinds of things.
Hip hop culture is very wavy. That could be some positive and negative waves, depending on who's speaking, who's moving, who's leading at that time. Hip hop exists as an art form, as a culture that allows the people to say, here I am, and you're gonna pay attention to me.
When I grew up, it was all about expression. It was all about culture. It was all about education, lifting our community.
Popular culture is very filtered. It's pop, it has to be filtered. They can't truly speak about truth, because then you'll be truly speaking about itself, systematically speaking. There's always gonna be a remnant that God preserves to speak liberation, and speak justice, and to speak to the heart of the matters in an unfiltered way.
When a person asked us if we were involved in hip hop, they wanted to know which elements we were a part of. Nowadays, when a person says they're a hip hop artist, they automatically link it to a person being an MC/rapper. Whereas for me, growing up, if a person was involved in hip hop, I often wondered, were you a B-boy? Were you a DJ? Were you a graffiti artist/writer? You know, what were you?
UJ is probably when I remember just hearing hip hop, you know, in the fullest of the form. You know, if it was breakdancing, if it was graffiti, if it was music, if it was MCs, if it was DJs, man, I found everything. It was a family, it was a community. Like, everybody was supporting me ever since day one.
I was like, who's this little dude with this cool name? Like, he was just so hip hop at like 5'4". He was just, you could tell it was just on him, something special was on him.
He had been rapping, he had been watching us rap. He was, you know, putting his own, you know, starting to piece his words and things together. And around the age of 8, the first year of homeschool, He was also playing football, and that's when his first song was actually born and developed. They were trying to raise money for uniforms for the football team, and I said, hey, you know, you've been playing around with this rap thing, you know, you've been seeing me and Dad. I said, why don't you put your hand, you know, to the plow and see if you can write a song, and you can sell the song, and then you can make some money to get your uniforms. And that's when it began. He went and searched for a beat. He found a beat that he really liked, and I began to teach him the craft of songwriting.
One rule in my family that will go down in history in the Jones legacy: if you are rapping, you cannot ghostwrite. Nobody writes for nobody. What I do is I use what you call a rhyming dictionary. It just has words that rhyme, like bat, cat, mat, fat.
He wrote the song and began to memorize it, and prior to him going to recording it, he probably did at least 100 or more takes over and over. I was on my iMac. He would record. He would just push record and try to memorize it and going over and over and over again.
We work hard each and every day. Do them drills, ready to play. Every day the coaches say, pay attention.
Settle down, young men. It's time to listen.
We gon' work it out today. We gon' work it out. We gon' win all these games, we gon' work it out. Going hard when we play.
It's called Work It Out. It took me 150 tries to get it. After that, I managed to have my very first song, Work It Out.
One of the leaders of a group that I used to be in used to say, practice makes permanent. What that did for him early on was he realizes that there's work behind it. You can't just go up on stage and floss without putting work in. I think it's so important that we don't make our kids wait to do whatever we see that's in them. I feel like that's our job as parents, not to force anything on them, but you know, it came natural for him. You know, we never said like, hey, we're rappers, so you're gonna be a rapper. So get ready. You know, he was exposed to it, and it was a natural something that came out of him.
I wanted him to hear a variety of artists, because sometimes we get locked into just hearing in regards to the times that we're living in.
By me being able to listen to all these other MCs who have their own flows, if it's from like super soft, or if it was like or just like just being able to hear all of these flows, that I can create my own flow.
The number one thing in artistry is authenticity. So I want to teach him the art of being able to explore and evolve as an artist, but at the same time, you know, stay true.
Nowadays, it's just like everybody's copying everybody. I'll hear one song, he'll just be like, doom, doom, do the doom. I'll be like, oh, this song is dope too. And then he's like, doom, doom, do the doom. He just copies him, and then it keeps on copying and copying and copying and copying. Try to develop your own thing, you get it? Stand out from the crowd, you get it? Yeah. Sometimes I'll just wake up in the morning super early and just start playing beats. It's just like, ooh, do I like this? Like, ooh, this kind of catchy. Maybe I could write something to it. I end up writing like the verses to new songs sometimes, you get it? I don't write full songs at a time. Sometimes I'll just write parts of it, and then eventually I finish writing the song, and then being able to ride the track, as my dad would say, just gotta keep learning, gotta keep searching, gotta keep earning. Love to get love like a yearning. Just being able to do it that quick, and like the transition, I think it was just fresh. Just like, oh, that's Delio, that's Delio.
So one day I got a call from a phone number that I didn't have, and I answered. I'm like, hello, this is Josh. And I hear, hey. And I'm like, hello? And he's like, hey, this is Priest. I'm like, oh, what's up, Priest? And he was calling me to see if I was available to do a promo for his new album that he was doing that was a part of his, like a school project. So we shot the promo. I made album artwork for it, just thinking like, oh, this is just gonna be a cool little project like for Priest. And then the next thing, I see that it's on Star Tribune, and I'm like, oh shoot, this is like the real deal.
Man, he came up on the scene, you know, at 8, and now with, you know, 100+ events under his belt.
My very first event was a tribute for Philando Castile, because he was shot and killed by a police officer.
My son, Philando Castile, was murdered July 6, 2016 in Falcon Heights, Minnesota, by a peace officer. And to honor his legacy of love, compassion, kindness and giving. We have a community unity barbecue.
I remember just me doing like a little presentation before I even started. I was like, I know Philando ain't watching right here, but I know he's watching up there. So it's like, that was the first time I heard a response from the audience, like, okay, okay. And then when I was rapping, people were constantly like going back with me, like still having like that same energy, even though they weren't rapping, they were still like into it.
A wonderful young man, very, very talented and high energy performance, and he brings hope, faith, and truth.
I was immediately taken by his poise. I'm sorry, 11-year-old boy, you know, but I was dedicated to get him somehow, some way, get him a stage.
They flew him out to the Colorado Rockies to do 2 songs. And then when he came on, first of all, the guy who introduced him was just like, you guys, there's this 11-year-old kid, and he just came here from Minneapolis, Minnesota to rap for us. Like, nobody knew him whatsoever, and the crowd was just like, yeah, like he started rapping, and I'm telling you, man, it was electric.
It's Priest Jones, y'all. I came to make a difference. All you got to make a difference. Just keep on doing what you're doing, and God, He's gonna be proud of that. He's gonna be proud of that.
A lot of the students said he was the best in the conference, and it was a whole week long.
He's performed at things like Earth Day, he's performed at church services, nonprofit community organizations, he's been at corporate events where you think that people, why would they want a young hip-hop artist to come to a fundraiser or a benefit? The opportunities and the variety of things that he's been able to do is just been amazing. And I think it does have something to do with, you know, his age.
To speak, I won't be silent. I'm here to tell the truth. You got to stop the violence. Yeah, we came here to heal, not to kill. Yeah, we need a regeneration for the situation. We need a peaceful task. That is what God asked. To the mamas crying, from the kids dying, from the police lying. They are not compliant. Even if we're in the struggle, we got to keep trying.
To have all that energy and all that education about kind of being ahead of his time and saying, you know what, I know you may not like me, I'm a young man, but that's all right. And I'm the next generation. We're gonna take it to a whole new level.
It's so important to see young people, not for who they are right then, but the shadow of the person they will become.
When you look at a kid, you're like, okay, this kid looks like that and that and that. Oh, I don't think he can do that, just how he looks. It's just being able to not underestimate people for what they really can do, instead of just saying like, oh, he probably can't do that. Actually get to know a person before you actually try to say something.
There's a lot of things that young people can say that people will listen to that they wouldn't listen to if an older person said it.
55411. This is where I live. Some parts are dangerous and some are positive. Living in the hood, on the north side. Many see the darkness, but I still see the light, yeah.
There's something special about being young. People are more receptive to you. They don't know what's in your slingshot until it hits them.
Youth is a time of really no fear.
He's now, he's right. He's not, the future is coming. No, it's now. And that's what excites me about him now is that, okay, he has a chance to allow his youth to be a tool to get their ear. And then the truth behind what he is saying is going to penetrate their spirit, and the rest is just the work of God.
And so a lot of times people would see him on stage, they would first just be shell-shocked, like, first of all, who is this little guy? Like, and what is he saying? He's saying I'm a black boy?
Yeah, when he did Black Boy, I was like, okay, he could get their attention.
Having a black boy in today's society, oh, wow. You know, it's beautiful, it's a blessing, and it's a burden.
The way that the world portrays black boys nowadays, it's very negative. Just by being black, that's already a struggle by itself. I just want black boys to know that you are strong, you are powerful, you are courageous, and you can do things in life. You never have to give up. You should be proud of who you are.
And so as we create this momentum to teach our young boys, going into the jails, I found out 3 things. Most of them are either totally devastated by trauma, lazy because the trauma makes them lazy, and angry because of all those things, right? Trauma makes you lazy and makes you angry, so you don't want to get educated. And so we found out that if you nurture our young people, they know what they want, but they don't know how to get it, and they've never been taught. And I'm gonna tell them what the system has done to them, and I'm gonna let them know why is this room full of people of color, and there's a reason why. What makes a great individual is what's getting poured into him and what's around him. When you talk about somebody like Priest, right, and his energy, you know, I always think about, is that dude getting burnt out? But how can he when he's got 2 powerful individuals pouring into him? And remember, so many of our young children, especially African-American children, don't have the kind of support that he's had all of his life. That is one amazing thing right there.
Knowing Priest's parents and watching both of their styles musically and how they lead and perform, to see a combination of that with Priest now. So I see his mom and I see his dad and I see the cadences he has when he's rapping, and I see the way that he uses his body to move and excite the crowd, and just like his energy and the ways that I see equal parts, both Tryenyse and both Stacey, and with his, like I said, his own individual flavor.
I had the opportunity to work with him on his album, to record him, mix him. I mean, this young kid, man, he's amazing. He's an amazing talent. He's funny as all get out.
I remember the first time I met Priest. He was very timid and quiet for about the first 30 seconds or so. And then after that, I got to really see his personality come to life.
To see so many different young people of all kinds of different religions, ages, different ethnicities and races impacted. It's been beautiful to see, you know, as a parent, you want to invest and cultivate everything that's in your child, but then when you see it passed on and you see another young person or kid get inspired, there's nothing like it.
I want him to bring that narrative that we all matter through his messages, through hip hop. He's bringing all that to the forefront.
How do you feel about Priest's music?
Wonderful.
Why?
He does songs that included everybody.
Oh yeah. What's your favorite song by Priest?
Black Boy.
What's your favorite song of Priest?
Black Boy. I like the beat. The rap is so good. Exactly.
Get Fit for Life. All right, now why is that your favorite song? What does it encourage you to do?
It encourages us to spread positivity around the world. Black Boy and little kids can do big things. It's really catchy, it's really fun to dance to, and it's really, really cool. Get mad, make a difference. Get mad, make a difference. I love hip hop. I'm a black boy. I'm a black boy, yeah, I'm a black boy. I'm a Nino. I'm a muchacho. I'm an eagle. Not just me though. Being black. It's really cool. You can do many things like go to school.
Like, it's been hard and through these tough times. And when I hear that song, I just think, I'm a black boy. I'm proud. And so I don't need to worry about anything because God's right here. I hear that song, I'm perfectly fine. Who you've been to my kids, who you've been to Mac in particular, around issues of self-esteem and just pride in who he is. Not just as a black boy, but first and foremost as a little boy, a child of God. Little kids can do big things. That song that you wrote when you weren't even such a little kid anymore, how empowering that is to little kids. I play that for my nieces and nephews, and they feel so empowered as they sing that and as they believe it.
It just goes to show that Priest is speaking to all people, but I mean, especially to youth and to kids as little as my son, Markello, who's 3, who's really trying to think about like, oh, what does it mean that I'm little and I can do big things?
It was a Black Boy CD release party. I had a lady friend where her son, every time he would talk and converse with kids, they would laugh because he had a really, really bad speech impediment. I was trying to encourage her, come on out, see my nephew, he's not no brat, you know, he loves people and everything too, right? I didn't even have to tell Priest. Priest was just, you know, he came out, you know, hi, and he was like, hey, I'm Priest, you know, and I was like, he already knew Priest was, he was starstruck. He was like, oh, okay. So he's like, hey, let's play some pool. Priest included him in everything that he was doing except getting on the stage, you know, but the thing was that this kid, he got to see godly love, you know, someone who, you know, really showed him some serious love, you know, and the kid kept speaking about Priest and, you know, just the fact that, you know, he's never had that, you know, I mean, he felt love, he felt God's love.
Not only is he young and impactful, but he's using a genre of music that, you know, people kind of don't always, you know, look favorably upon.
I've had the pleasure to see him grow from the beginning of his artist career and now to see him just blossoming into some really deep lyrics and really allowing us to stop and think every time we hear one of his songs. I think it's great to see him grow so much, and I can't wait to see what he's going to be doing in the future.
What he is saying and will continue to say, as long as he stays true to his values, is necessary.
To be able to rock the stage with my son and just to vibe with him, that's the best feeling in the world, you know? Yeah, and the fact that he's a lot better than me, I can say that hands down. That's one of the best feelings, that he's a dope MC. I have my good days, I have my bad days, but he's just dope all the way around. And I'm not just saying that because he's my son, but he's a fantastic artist.
And his skill set is dope. I can't quote Rakim like he can. So that shows me he has foundation, that he's not just rapping. He knows of those that came before him that did it well and did it excellent, and he's taken time to observe their words and allow their words to become a part of his own foundation. And that's homage, that's respect. He's not filtered, he's unbound, he's unlimited, and we need more voices like that. And so to see him do it at a young age is encouraging, because his peers, whether they listen now or later, are going to remember, oh, he's been saying this. And as long as he stays consistent, he will be a light that they can always go to and gravitate towards, whether they come into their own point of enlightenment now or 10 years from now. They're like, you always been on this, man. And then that's when the questions start, the enlightenment starts, the discovery starts, and now he's a leader of masses because he stayed consistent to what was true and the values that were instilled inside of him.
Where one kid might say, man, that's whack, man. Where the other kid might say, you know what? That makes a lot of sense, man. I kind of would rather listen to that than to what I'm hearing here, because what you're saying, I think might work for my life.
And we don't put these expectations on him. Just because you have a gift doesn't mean you can't grow, doesn't mean that you're not a kid.
Like I said, I'm an ordinary boy. There's been times I don't want to do shows. I still wake up late. I still do everything every other kid does. I still get in trouble. I'm a regular kid, you get it?
You know, I just want him to feel free and to enjoy the rest of his childhood. Even though he has a calling that seems kind of heavy in this world, because he's writing a lot about justice and the way our world is. You know, I don't want him to feel that burden, but I also want him to have a sense of responsibility, so.
Everybody has a purpose in life, you know? You're on this earth for a reason. Even the people that you look at who are just like, bruh, I just don't, man, I'm just not feeling your vibe in general. Everybody has a purpose, everybody has a gift. And the thing about it is that it's never too late. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter how young you are. God is still calling something in your life. If you are still on the earth to this day, God is still preparing something in your life that just it might be unexpected. It's just a matter that you open it and you use it with all your might and with all your heart, so.
I am my son, so you know I'ma shine. What are you telling me? This is my time. I am not lazy, not going for none. No need for fighting, the battle is won. I am not finished, there's work to be done.
See, my life has only begun. Keep it 100 and I'm not gonna down. God is the greatest person around. Keep it 100 and I'm not gonna to microphones instead of cones of ice cream. Music orientated, so when hip-hop was originated, feeling like pieces of puzzles, complicated. Cause I grabbed the mic and tried to say yes, y'all, then tried to take it and said that I'm too small. Cool, cause I don't get upset. I kick a hole in the speaker, pull a plug, then I jet.